Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy to be here again. Sorry we were just slightly late today, but not as bad as what we had last week. I had to do some quick technical and personal chores before coming here. But other than that, how have you been doing? I hope you guys have been keeping safe, doing well. That's good. Today it's a special one. It's a very special one because today, as you can see, the topic clearly states prison and consequence. Prison and consequence. It's a strange way how this topic came up today, and just in line with what we're doing here in society and on, we are trying to keep the society safe and take us back to how we were before things really got out of control. So today is going to be special because I even have a special guest, Mr. Noel Finch. I'm going to bring him on shortly. So he will tell you more about himself, what he has done, what he's doing to help the youth. So I'll bring him in shortly, and I will not, I'll give him a full time to narrate his stories and all that so that we can all pay attention. And this is for the youth, especially the young one who are fond of doing crazy things and expecting no consequences. I need somebody who has been through it to come and explain these things to you in a language or ways that you understand better. So, without wasting further time, let me introduce Mr. Noel Finch. Hello, Mr. Noel. Are you there?
Afir, how you doing, man?
Yes, we are live now.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Yes,
Oh,
okay.
nice to see you. Nice to meet you today.
Good
I hope you're
afternoon.
doing. I hope
What
you're doing.
can you hear?
Yes, I can.
Yes,
So, with
very good. I do.
I'm going to.
Yes, can you
I'm
hear
going.
me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you very well, sir. So
Sorry.
I'm going to. I can hear you very well. I think there's a delay in network. I can hear you very well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going
Okay.
to allow you to introduce yourself and tell your story. So without interruption, I won't interrupt you. I will allow you to introduce yourself. You tell your background story, where you are, what you do now. You tell how you got into trouble, how you lived through it, how you came out, how you've decided to change the society around you. So I'll allow you to tell the whole story, and we'll just sit back and listen to you, sir. Well, that should be all right for you, sir.
That's very good. Okay.
Okay, so
Good
you
afternoon.
can go now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mr. Noel Finch. I stay in Belha, and I grow up. I was born in Athlone, and then we moved to
That's
Elsis
Cape Town.
River. From Elsis River, I went to Bonteville. I grew up there as a youngster, and the other thing, as you can see, I've been born with a cleft palate with the lip. And the other thing, I've been very young, and I've joined a gang called the Naughty Angels. And from there, I've been very naughty. I've been doing lots of other me in all areas. And at the end of the day, I decide at the age of 18, 19, I wanted to took my life. And then I went to the railway line, and I was there on the railway line. And while I was there under the influence of drugs, and I was there under line. But that night, I told nobody. As you know, when you want to kill yourself, you tell nobody. It's a secretive, very secretive. And then while the train was coming my way, I was lying on the railway line. While I was laying there, the train came my way. It was very dark, but I could see the light. But the driver which was driving see me on the line. and he was blowing the water. And but I couldn't love myself because I was under the influence, and the devil had chained me to the to the railway line. But it was not with a chains. It was binding me there. I couldn't help myself because I wanted to kill myself. But because of the Holy Spirit, the driver put on the bright lights. She want to see properly if it is really a person on the line, which he saw me. And then suddenly, because I'm under the influence, the Lord have just rescued me by Spirit. I couldn't understand. It's like somebody grabbed me in front of my chest and throw me to the other side. But from there on, when also I was still in the world. The Lord didn't save me yet, but I was thinking about the happening, which what was happening, and then after that, I met a girlfriend which called Louise Solomon. So I met this lady. This lady accepted Christ in her life. After accepted Christ in her life, I turned to become a better person because I was respecting this lady. But without knowing, the Lord came my way, and at the age of 22, I accepted Christ in my life. But my pastor was a Muslim guy. He met me many times. That time he was an elder. Before he turned into become a pastor, he was an elder. He was a senior of the church, and then he grew me, and he was talking to me about the things which God had put in, what God had done for him, what can do better for me. But then suddenly I accepted Christ in my life at the age of 22. From the age of 22, I was serving the Lord, and then the Lord called me into the prison ministries. That's why I'm in the prison ministries at this point of time. But I can remember the time when I was sentenced. I was sentenced of 5 years, a suspended sentence, because of the cry of my mother, because of the hope of my mother, because of the prayers of my mother. And then they beat me up. That time we were having like they beat you up, and you give you like latches. They gave me 5 latches, and latches. They gave me also a 5 year suspended sentence. And from there on, that was before I have accepted Christ at the age of 22. But that happened when I was at the age of 20, just getting 21. But the Lord has been so good to me, so gracious. And then I had a dream. And because of that dream, I dreamed that the Lord had given me a big truck to drive. And I couldn't understand. I didn't know the explanation of driving this truck. But as time passed by, I met guys from Portsmouth. It was one of the generals, and also two other guys. It was a 28 general, and then I met them, and they were busy in the prison ministries. While they was busy
Sorry,
in the prison ministries,
sorry, Mr. Noel.
hello.
People, yeah, people don't know what a 28 general is. So perhaps you need to explain it to them because it's a global reach. So you explain what a 28 general
Okay,
is.
okay. A 28 general means that the man is in authority. He's got a rank, like the rank which called you must die, or they you if you are a France, if you're not in the number, even if you are in the number, he duties, and he give commandment, like when he say you fail to do something, then they give you instructions, and then from that instructions you don't carry out, and then they kill you, or they raped you, or whatever, or they kill your family outside. When they are still inside, they will send the guards, which the people is
Sorry,
outside. They will send the guards, which they call the
sorry, sir.
gangsters. And when they are in the
Miss,
prison, they are the prison gangsters.
Mr. Noel,
Yes.
I know I'm not supposed
Hello.
to interrupt. Yeah. I know I'm not supposed to interrupt, but a lot of people are sending me messages. They want to understand the nature of your story. So let me just throw in more light. So the 28 is part of the Numbers gang, right? It's a deadly gang in Cape Town, and
Yes,
the Cape Town
yes,
location. So it's a deadly
yes,
gang. So what Mr. Noel is trying to let us
yes,
know is that they are dangerous outside the prison, and they are also dangerous in the prison. Okay, so the general can give orders from
yeah.
the prison in Cape Town,
Yeah,
and it can affect you in prison or your family members
yeah.
outside
To
prisons.
to outside.
Yes, so because they've got foot soldiers outside the
Exactly.
prison. Yes, so that's what Mr. Noel is Finch is explaining. So carry on, Mr. Finch. Mr. Finch.
Yeah, and then while I was sitting meeting these guys, they asked me to follow them in instructions, just to go to prisons and just to preach the word, and then I avail myself. And now I was the first time I start working at Paulsmore, which called me C1, C2, C3, and then we go up to the level D section, which where all the gangsters is, and the prison gangsters, the numbers they call 28, 26, and 27. Then after that, I went to the E sections, but and then there was a time where I was working in a prison they call Afghanistan, which is high flyers, guys that go to high court and stuff like that. And I have to preach to them, encourage them, give them hope. And I was there all the time. And then by a time they break up that section and they put them back into the D sections. And then I met with them also in the D sections. But you know, the Lord has been so good. And up to today, I'm now there for 18 years serving God, preaching to the guys, and I encourage them a lot by the word of God. And so many guys turn to the Lord. And there's one guy I can still remember today. He's an apostle in a church which called the Spadarian Church. He's now one of the apostles. That before he was one of the general 28 high fly guy. He had made his trial for 22 years in imprisonment. And then from there he came back and he was in the society here, in the community, where he destroyed the whole community with many things, commands and whatever, shooting, killing people, raping and all this stuff. But today I'm so proud of him. He's a true follower of Christ. He accepted Christ in his life also, doing a great work. And I also met so many other prison guys, which called Peter Hendricks, and a lot of other guys. Yes, Peter Cookman, he was also there in Robben Island with Nelson Mandela. He was one of the guys who had the blue bachi. They call it blue bachi. And then he was also one of the generals, but he was one of the 28 members. But he was such a good experience to me, and I follow Christ because I see that what Christ can do for them, He can do much more for me. But that guy passed away, and so many other guys like Clement. He was also one of the 27 guys in Portsmouth. That time when Portsmouth was, I remember that was 2006, 2010. And there was a lot of other guys I can tell you today. But the Lord has been so good. I can see people change for the good because change started by themselves. And the Lord has been so powerful. You know, when I went into prison, and on a Sunday morning we have church there in Portsmouth, sometimes 200 guys. Sometimes every day I met about in the cell. Then I met 20 guys, or sometimes I met 40 to 50 guys in the cell. But you know, the Lord has been so good. I can see people crying for hope, people crying to change. And definitely, when people outside there in the community, I'm so thankful for people that pray for them. And there's a lot of other people also I can encourage people today. Don't give up hope, but please carry on doing the things for the Lord, because God is faithful and just. He will never leave us, never, nor will He forsake us. There's a scripture that always encourages me. Look at the hand. Look at, and then the Lord also say, when you look at the hand, the hand is also helpful. God will help you in all your circumstances, whatever comes your way. And there's only one thing, this hope that will carry us through life. The other thing I can also see in Josiah, when the Lord speak, He say, "My
Sorry,
ear will never
Mr.
be too
Mr. Noel.
heavy."
Mr. Noel.
Yes.
Hello. Yes. So
Yeah.
I like the rundown of your experience with the prison ministry, how you got into trouble, how you were suicidal initially. Now, there's something important. You know, we look around the society, not just Cape Town, all over the world. You see our
Amen.
yeah, you see our youth today, they feel it's okay to commit crime and get away with it with a slap on the wrist. I need you to explain to them in fact, explain the dangers and the frustration for those who are actually in prison now, prison life, how terrible it is, and how it's not an experience one should be having at this stage in life. I think you need to explain how dangerous it is because they think prison is a place you can go and have fun and just come out without being scarred. So I think you need to tell them how dangerous it is.
You, you see what I can tell you today from my experience. I haven't been in prison for not even for one day, for like what I'm doing. I'm preaching in the prisons. I'm going
Yeah.
to eldest room. I'm going to Voorberg, where I met guys where they have 3 life sentence, or
Mm.
3 life sentence give you 74 years. And then
Wow.
I met a guy which he had, other guy I met, he had 260 years imprisonment. I say to myself, well, does man ever make it? But when you look at him, he's very dangerous, and he don't even want to talk to you because he had no time for nobody, because there's only one thing going through his mind. He got life. He will never see light again. But from my side, I can really tell you, when the Spirit of the Lord He moves. And I can see people like that crying. But when they're crying, when I ask him why you crying, he say, the Lord is speaking to me. Lord is speaking to my heart. It doesn't matter how dangerous they are. But when the Spirit take over, you know, and today people, when people is outside in the community, you can do whatever you want to. You can maybe think it's easy for you to go to prison, but it's very tough. It's very hard. I see old men in the prison. I see youngsters. I seen people 40, 30. I see all ages in the prison. The last person I met in the prison was 68, mean 78. But I can tell you today, it's not easy, because if you enter prison, when you have to make a choice. You have to make your choice, and challenges is every day. It's every day. But from my side, I can link. I can ask one of the generals, which I must try to get hold of him, so that he can explain and give you the plain explanation, because he was in authority like a 28 general. He was one of the 28 bosses. He was one of the general bosses. He was working for the bosses of the 28 gangsters.
Oh. So he's not using his experience, his own experience in prison to change the community around him, right?
Exactly. Let me tell you today. 3 weeks ago, we went to Portsmouth. And the very, very powerful thing happened there. I saw people there which coming from other background, where they also had the number called 28. They also been a 26 and a 27. But when that general enters Portsmouth 3 weeks ago, I can see the difference. I can see how people change. I can see, because the proper language that a man was using. But the man is an apostle, is an apostle in the church. but how we can talk to people and how people can obey and be disciplined, and also how people have changed, the very day by tears and stuff. And I see really you can discern that people really want to change. You see, the devil can hold up people because the reason why, when people get into the prison, they've been they've been telling you, the people is telling you a lot of other stuff, but they don't telling you the truth. The first thing they're telling you, there's no door out. So then you get fear. You get fear immediately when they tell you no door out. You are fearing. You are fearing. But you know, God has been so good, so powerful, and God is moving powerful with His Holy Spirit.
Mm. Mm.
I haven't got a lot to say because you know I have to rush things and tell things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can
I'll help you
I
out
can.
now. I'll help you out now. Now, one of the things you mentioned in the
Okay.
beginning, you said that you had suicidal ideation, and at the time you were already taking drugs, right? While you were a youngster.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yes, I've been using Mandarex.
uh,
I've been using cockroach.
okay. So again, we
I've been using liquor also. And
again,
hello,
yes, again, a lot of people don't
yes.
understand. Yes, again, a lot of people don't understand that drug usage can actually
You
influence. Hello, can you hear me?
you are in the, hello.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I was saying that a lot of people don't understand that the
Sorry.
usage. I was saying that the a
Yes,
lot of
I hear
people don't.
you.
Yeah, I was saying that a lot of people don't
I can
understand
hear
that.
you.
Okay. I think there's a delay. Okay, but I'll just keep talking. So a lot of people don't understand that when you abuse drugs, that things evil thoughts creep into your mind. Evil thoughts, and chiefly when we're talking about evil thoughts, suicidal
Yeah,
ideation. You could just have this feeling from nowhere that, oh, I need to kill
yeah, yeah.
myself. This life is not worth it, or you feel that feeling of uselessness. Because I've actually spoken to a couple of former drug addicts, and they all say the same thing. And we're not just talking, and even when you're in the gang, the only thing that keeps a gang strong and moving is when you can control the foot
Yes, I
soldiers.
was one of the. Yeah,
Hello?
and
Yeah,
then we
it's when
go
you
for murder. We want to kill. We want to test the blood of people, and then we want to kill people, destroy people because of the anger, because of using the drugs and making drinking liquor, alcohol, and stuff like that. You see, then after that, we plan to kill maybe, or we want to rape somebody, or we want to rob somebody. Maybe we need money, then we go for money, stuff like that. And
so
even we go to a party, and then we want to disturb the party. Doesn't matter how many people's there. If we want to disturb, we disturb, because we are not little. We are few, and you know, and we are a lot of guys there, and then we don't care. We step with a knife in that time. But nowadays they shoot by the gun.
yeah, we're now in a time where automatic weapons are now accessible to all. So we are no more doing knives in
Exactly,
this
exactly.
generation. So and
No more, no more.
so because I also like when you pointed out when you were mentioning the generals inside the numbers generals, because also people need to understand that it's you. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. There are people who have been to prison and became so many times that they became comfortable with the prison system in such a way that they can't function outside prison. Am I wrong?
You see, you see, it is not everybody that when they are in the prison, They can't function when they're outside of prison, because they can't function with the community outside. And then for not for long, they go back to prison, because they can't handle the things which is outside. But when they're outside, they can operate easily, yeah, inside.
Mm. And how is it? Um,
Okay.
for instance, now we have situations where a criminal, a hardened criminal, is captured and sent to prison. Now that we know that the
Tell
generals in
me.
the prison
Okay.
have,
Okay.
now that we know that,
Let me let me explain to you. There's a guy, you know, he and his wife, they can talk they can talk really deeply into the number, because they they can speak. They are Peter Hendricks and Sophia Hendricks. They stay in Delft. I can even send you their numbers, and then you can ask them, and they will give you the deep story. Powerful, powerful, very powerful.
wow, okay, because I think I will work on that for next week, because I think I'll do that for next week. I'll allow them to tell their story, as to tell you how they've turned around and changed their own lives, which is a very good testimony to share to the
Yes,
world. Okay.
amen.
I see that Mr. H is here. Can we allow Mr. H to speak then later? Oh, okay, then we'll come back to you. So,
Mr.
Mr.
H.
H, what do you have to say? We've been on for a while.
Yeah, for
H,
what?
Mr. H, Mr. H, how are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you, sir?
Very, very fine, very fine. Ah, Mr. H, I'm so glad seeing you. Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah,
I'm so glad. I
yeah,
remember Mr. H.
yeah. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and I thank you for this wonderful topic, the prison and its consequences. Prison isn't um, a palatable place, and and again, I would say, on my own opinion about prison. There are some people that no matter what you do to them, you can't change them as a human being. And sometimes prison is just a way to cut them from their bad behavior and to put them on a straight line. I just say why I'm saying this is that you could go to school, but the school did not pass through you. And sometimes you see that people are in prison for all the wrong reasons. They're in prison for maybe they're product of the community, maybe product of the society, or product of their family, and they end up there. And sometimes you meet people in prison, and after speaking to them, you see that these people are actually good people that find themselves in that kind of position. Yeah, prison is not a place that anybody should be, because it's a place that is designed to break you down as a human being, to break you because you've been in that four wall 24 hours a day. You are told what to do, you are told not what to do, and sometimes it just works on your brain. But at the end of the day, we still have to agree that the fact that if people do wrong in the society or people do wrong in the community, there's a place of rehabilitation that they have to go to, which is the prison system. But now, if you are a person and that you are in the prison system, you should allow the prison system to go through to break you down, so that at least you can change. For prison, I used to watch prison documentary all over the whole world, and you see some prison they are very very tough, and you see some prisons they are not tough, just like somewhere in Europe, where the prisons are not that tough, they are not that made to break them out. They believe that people have to be given a second chance. But anybody watching this show, I would advise you that prison is not a place that you would love to be. Prison is not a place that you would love to spend time with. And whatever you are doing out there that it's not good, or that will take you to prison, please you need to avoid it because it's not a place. Because you'll be detached from the community, you'll be detached from your family, you'll be detached from your friends and family, you'll be detached from a lot of things, a lot of privileges. And when you go to prison and you hear people commit suicide in prison because some people are there for the first time, and because of the stress, they can't take it anymore, and they see a way out. That is why people in prison really need God to really come into them. That is only God that can help them at that situation. And I listened to Pastor Finch when he talking about, he has been to different prisons all over South Africa, and he has met a lot of people, a lot of criminals, and I need to commend him for, for for the good news is going to spread there because it's not easy at times. And for him to have met with dangerous people and still keep the courage to talk to them because these are people that are taken away from the society. Like imagine the what he was saying just now, somebody that gotten 2 life sentence will not see the light of day anymore. And this kind of person, only God knows what is going through that person's mind. And you still have to go and speak to the person and speak with good news. Some people in prison, I don't think it's good news. The Bible is what they want to hear at that moment in time because they are stressing for their case and they are thinking there's no way out. But as I always say, life is dynamic and life is precious. So we need to choose where we want to be in life, whether to be on the wrong side or whether to be on the right side. But I would advise everybody to always be on the right side. And when you are on the outside, you should always seek God. There's stress everywhere. People say, "Oh, I committed crime because of stress. I committed crime because of family pressure, or I committed this crime because of this and that." It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be something to be proud of. Nobody should commit crime because of the pressure in the society, in the community. That is why we encourage people to talk to people to seek help. You see a lot of people in prison. Why they are there is because of bad influence, because of bad friends. When you are going, a couple of friends that all they talk about is alcohol, is drug, and you begin to follow them and you begin to go there, you end up in that kind of place. So prison is never a good place to be. Because I used to take my time and I watch prison stories from all over the whole world. I think I will encourage our viewers to watch on Netflix. There's a program on Netflix that they go from prison to prison all over the whole world to show prison condition all over the whole world. I want people to even go to YouTube and go and watch prisons all over the whole world, the ministry, and you see how prison is. It's not a good place to be. And well, we thank the pastors and the prophets that take it, the prison ministry that take the good news to prison. It's a lot of work they are doing, and we commend them as well. So my advice to people watching out there is that prison shouldn't be it's not a place to be at all. Please, nobody should say, okay, you have it local there, or you have it nice there, or some people say it's a 5-star hotel. It's wrong because when you have heard about people that have gone to prison and they don't out because they have never been to the prison system before, and I've heard about people that have gone to prison and they came out worse than before because they go there and meet other people and those other people corrupt them, and when they come out they go and I've heard about people that went to prison and after spending time and they came out of prison, even to change their life, they don't change their life and they are dead now. They go back to the same thing they were doing before and they were not lucky at this time. So there are so many consequences for crime. Imagine somebody spending. I was watching a news the other day on Facebook. This guy is a promising star in America. He's a basketball player, and they just signed him off. And he had a quarrel at the park. He was asking another lady out, and the lady said, "No, I'm with my guy." And he took the gun and he shot the lady. That was the end of his life. At the end of the day, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. He has lost his career. He doesn't even have a child. He has never been married. That is what prison can do. And prison can work on your mind. people that think prison is good, you see that people come out from prison and they don't remain the same again because now their brain has been impacted. They've been conditioned to a kind of lifestyle. That is why you hear that some people will come out from prison and they want to go back because they are not used to the outside world again. They cannot deal with people outside because they've been conditioned to wake up by 5 o'clock and do this and do that. And when they come out, they see that what everybody's doing outside. They see that outside is the crazy place. You know what I mean? So prison shouldn't be a place that people should wish to go. And we are talking to the youngster that are just coming up, the adolescent, people, kids that are just coming up that they want to start experimenting. Please don't let experiment, even with daha, with alcohol. The major problem that we are having in the society today is the drug problem, is the alcohol problem, is it's eating the bone marrow of the system. Because when youth are engaged in alcoholism, into drug, they begin to do things that they ought not to do. And we need to, I used to say, parents too, we need to leave a very good examples for our kids. You go to some household, I was discussing with some ministers of God that day, and you will see so you go to some household, you will see the mother and the father. They will sit down and be drinking alcohol with their kids. They'll be drinking alcohol in the same house with their kids. I have seen it. And at the end of the day, you see that these children will go outside there and start committing crime. And they will say, "Oh, we don't know what is going on. We don't know what is going on." It starts from the home, because even in the Bible, it said the first unit of life is the family. The family is the first unit of life, where you have the mother, the father, and the extended and the nuclear family. And if a child sees these things up in the society, in the community, in the house, where you see a mother will be drinking alcohol with their adolescent children, will be smoking daha with their adolescent children, they pick up all these bad habits and they exhibit it. And at the end of the day, they join into crime. And at the end of the day, they end in prison. And what we don't understand is that if you do not train your children well, they will come back and disgrace you. If you do not train your children in the right manner, that's why the Bible says that train up your child in the good way, so that when they
Yeah,
grow up,
Mr.
they
H,
will not
Mr. H,
go from.
Mr.
Yeah,
H, wait. What you
yeah,
just said, what
yes,
you just said sums
yeah,
up everything both you and Pastor Finch have been saying. What you just said, you sum it up because you see, sometimes I don't know if you follow me when I go on live on Instagram. I'm always hard on how you should raise your children. And I keep telling parents, your children are not your friends. They're technically not your friends. When you've raised them properly and they are above 18 and they are standing on their own, then they can become your friends. But at that time, while they are under your legal supervision, you are there to set standards, train them, discipline them. Very, very important. There's no culture, I don't, except from Western culture now, that allows for parents to allow their children to do whatever you like and expect government to raise your kids. It's crazy. All the people in prison, they are all products of bad, not majority of them, not all of them. Sorry, I don't want to give an absolute statement, but majority of people you find in prison are people who didn't know any better. They were allowed to operate freely and do whatever it is they like without consequences. You need to start teaching a child what consequence means. You do wrong, you get the result instantly. If your child already understands that if he or she misbehaves, there's going to be a punishment for it or consequence, there's the likelihood that they'll think thoroughly before they do something crazy. And this is what we're lacking in society. The media is teaching us that we should allow our kids to do whatever they like. That if you punish them, you are bullying them. How can you be bullying? And when you don't do this, at the end of the day, prison is calling, jail time is calling. The police will be there. So this is why we are here to have this discussion. But continue. Sorry, it's just what you said really touched me because it's something I wanted to point out. You can continue, Mr.
Yeah.
Rich.
So that's why my child in the way of the Lord, so that when the child grows up, the child will not deviate from it. Because all this habit that you see on the street, they are picked up by in the family. When it's very 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 sad. It's very 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 sad when like what we used to know, when we used to know when we were growing young. You don't talk when your parents are talking. You don't sit down. You get up. You don't look your parents in the eye. Those are the discipline that we were brought up with, and that is what has been in us, and what has been in us since when, and it's helping us now. I have a two daughters, and now I know how to nurture them. I know when to tell them to stop, to sit down, to do this and to do that, because I learned it from my parents that if you as a child you need to be corrected and you need to follow the pattern. So most of this bulk of this blame needs to go to the parent. Oh, you can go to the juvenile section where you have children as young as 9, 8, 10 in the juvenile detention, and you begin to ask yourself, what are these kids doing here? They say no, he joined bad gang, he's smoking, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing that, and you begin to ask yourself, where do these children learn all this from? They say no, he was staying with his father, and his father too used to smoke, and that is where he learned it from. So my own take on the matter now is that we as individuals in our families, we need to bring our children well properly so that they don't end up in prison. Because at the end of the day, if they end up in prison, they are bringing the bad names into the family. Let me give you an example, and let me tell this little story to so that it will be a warning to everybody. I used to have a friend that goes in and out of prison all the time, and I will always advise this guy. I will tell him, look, your parents is rich. Why are you always finding yourself in prison? And because his parents were rich, his father worked for the betting company, and his father was always providing money. The father bought him a car, but he was naughty. He will go and steal purses. He will steal phones from people walking on the street, and the parents will go back and buy the phone, and the boy will be out. Like maybe 5, 6, 7 times. And this guy told me something one day. He said, look, in the whole of Western Cape, I am the best one, and I'm supposed to pay for the living peace. And I was thinking, why is this guy wasting his life? Because his parents were aiding and abetting him unconsciously, because they were rich. When he goes and steals somebody's wallet, they go and pay. And he continued doing that, and he continued doing that. And did you know what happened? He went to Cape Town train station, and he went to rob the train driver in Cape Town. And the Cape Town train driver took out a gun and shot him dead. That is how he lost his life. And when they wanted to go to the court, and the police, the government, the Western government, the government said, there is no case. These people come here and they rob our train driver all the time. So we have advised our train driver to arm themselves, to get a gun so that they can protect themselves from these thugs. And they came to, on one of these occasions, they came to rob the train driver, and the train driver took out his gun and killed. That is how that young man died. That is how his dream died. That is exactly what we are saying. Because his parents were aiding and abetting him. Because the parents could not put him on the right path. They were soft on him. And at the end of the day, he had to pay for his life. So what I'm saying is that prison shouldn't be a place that should be on anybody's mind. But let me tell you, some people get to prison unconsciously. And how do people get to prison unconsciously? When you start experimenting drugs, when you start drinking a lot, you start doing things that you're not supposed to do. You start drinking a lot, and you get into the wheels of the car, and you begin to drive, and you are arrested, and you find yourself in prison. You are abusing your woman. At the end of the day, you find yourself in prison. You are in a busy relationship. You hit your wife, and I will tell you, these are so many things that is going on in the society. My friend Musa, he fixes phone. He does his job perfectly. But the problem with Musa is that Musa drinks too much. And one of these days, he went and he took a girl to the pub to drink. Just this thing happened about 2-3 months ago. Then he told the girl, "Let us go home." And the girl said, "No, I want to enjoy myself." And he took the girl and he locked the girl in his car. The girl was annoyed and the girl broke his windscreen. And at the end of the day, Musa beat the girl up and the girl died. Musa beat the girl and the girl died. And now Musa is in prison. Musa has never been in prison before. Musa is a good guy when he's not drunk. Musa has been doing his job for years in Cape Town. But just because he decided to start drinking and drinking took over his life, he committed murder. He has never been in prison for even theft before. So this is what is destroying our society: alcoholism and drugs. And now he's there. He's facing the rest of his life in prison. And Musa is from Tanzania. He came here to make a living. Now he's finding himself in prison. So prison, alcohol and drug relationship issue, and this broken family and a disjointed family has led a lot of people to their death and in prison. So my own take on the matter is that we as families, we as elders, we as elder people in the society, we as people that want to be the leaders of tomorrow, we that are the leaders of today, people like Fitch and other people, other ministers of God that are doing well, need to be encouraged. They need to be supported. They will need the government input. They will need more of the Christian faith. We need more of the Muslim faith. We need more of the traditional faith, because this is not something that we need to leave to one religion. We need to all come together, sit down on the round table, and find a solution, and put out disciples, foot soldiers out there to go to schools, to go to prisons, to go to places, to educate our youth, to take them off the street. That's why I do my ministry by going to support the children home and the location, because you see, we have children there that are 16, 17. You see them. That is why I endeavor, when I'm going there, we buy a tissue pad for the girls. We buy a roll-on, because we don't want them to go out there and start asking other young men for sex. You know what? At the end of the day, it leads to teenage pregnancy, and the community can be. That is why I've taken upon myself, and I put it out there for support, and we go there and we support them and we encourage them and we preach to them, so that, because we know if we do not hold them when they are young now, they will do another thing. So that is my take on the matter. Prison shouldn't be a place that people should end up with, and we have we have the power to stop it right now, to put ourselves there and do what we can. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, that was a powerful one. I've never heard Mr. H this very passionate, speak so passionately about something he believes in. And I assure you, the good Lord is watching both of you and seeing the cleanness of your hearts as you pursue these endeavors. Okay. Now, we'll come back to both of you, but as OK has been waiting, Omolara has been waiting. She's been on the sideline. OK, are you still there? Oh, OK, Omolara. Hello. Oh, OK. Oh, I think she's not by the phone. So, Sister Buki, are you there?
Hello, hi. Sorry, yes, I am.
What happened to your pretty face? Don't you want to decorate our
Sorry
show?
for being late. I've literally just rushed in. So
Oh,
I'm just trying to get myself together.
I gave you a million calls.
I'm sorry. I was out, yeah. I was out with my little one. So
Oh, all right, all right. Okay, while you are putting yourself together, I will allow Pastor Finch to also contribute to what Mr. H said. So, Pastor
thank
Finch, you can step back again.
Okay, Mr. H, I'm so encouraged by the words which you said now. Amen. And I appreciate that you have contributed you have contributed a lot. So I experienced that by visiting you personally in the presence. I came as a spiritual worker. I still remember the scripture is John 8 verse 36. If the Son of Man set you free, you'll be free indeed. Now I can see that Lord have really changes you. And the Lord have not actually changes you, but He have changes you for the society. He have changes you for the community. He have changes you even for the youth, for the little ones. And the other thing what you will always say, you also say about the drugs and the liquor, is because of your own self, because of my own self. But it was not because of my parents drinking or my brothers or whatever. It was all about me, and I did these things because of I don't want to lose that. I also didn't want you always want to be part. You always want to be part of the game. It was all like a game, but from my side, Mr. H, you did a very powerful job today. You have empowered many people today because you know where you come from and you know that what you did is not you didn't force to do to end up in prison. But I thank God for allowing me as a person speaking in the cell. I remember that scripture when we met. You said to me, Pastor, I remember the day when you said John 8 verse 36. If the Son of Man set you free, you'll be free indeed. And I'm so glad today to see that you have done a good work within yourself, and you have allowed God to do a very to change. And I'm so glad there's so many people out there. They're listening to you, and I can testify. I saw you there. I know that what you went through, but the Lord has been so good for you because it's all about the hope, and it's all about the Holy Spirit that did the good work. That's all I can say.
Oh, thank
Amen.
you very much. That was very encouraging, Pastor Noel. That was a nice one. Is Sandra ready now? Sandra,
Yes, hello, hello,
why
hello.
all the pretty ladies hiding their faces? See how
Well,
ugly the screen looks without your faces.
I'm sorry, I will not. I have a terrible headache. I didn't sleep
Oh.
well, so I heard the phone ring, and I'm like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna. I'm glad I'm catching the tail end because I didn't think I'd make it.
Oh, okay. So you can continue.
Okay, so this is about oh,
Mr. Consequence, sideways.
uh, I
Yeah.
mean,
So
I
I'm
I
listening.
I would.
What, were you listening to the show before now?
I just caught the minister the tail end of what the minister was saying. So could you run quickly or
Okay,
if
so let me run it. Let me run quickly. So we have Pastor Noel Green, who has been telling us his experience as a prison minister. He ministers to the prisoners. He goes to all prison. He goes to Portsmouth in Cape Town. It's a huge prison. Um, he told the story of how he was into drugs as a young man growing up, and as a result of that, he was having suicidal ideation to the point where he went to go lay down in front of a live train track. In fact, the train was already coming, and for no reason, just God, the creator wanted to save him. They applied the brakes at the right time, and he was able to wriggle himself out of the tracks just before impact. So that was a very powerful testimony he gave. Then he also told stories about gangs in prison, how you have gangs in prison and how they control the outside world from the inside. That's, these people are in prison and they have influence. They give instructions to their foot soldiers outside, and they
Mm-hmm.
carry out all kinds of egregious stuff on human beings. So, and again, we also talked about how drug addiction influences people's terrible decisions.
Yes.
Yeah, like most of the people you see who stab, maim, or shoot people, and you're wondering that, how did a human being do that? Well, for instance, drugs can help you achieve that state of mind. So it's drug addiction. So then we move to Mr. Hideki, who was giving us a full insight into life, how inside, because he is also into the prison ministry. So he's telling us what prisoners go through in prison, how they live, and why it's not such a brilliant idea to assume that I can go to prison and come out. You can go in and be damaged. You can go in and be killed, right?
Right.
Because there are prisoners who we know that they said that, they no longer can function in the normal society because they've spent so much time in prison that mentally they've now adopted the prison system and the prisoners as their own family. Their real family no longer matters to them.
Hmm.
I, yeah, their real family no longer matters to them. All that matters is those gang members they met in prisons. Those are their friends. So you see how a trip to prison can mess up somebody's life for a very long time.
Yeah.
So you can jump in if you want. That's the summary.
Okay. Well, um, if you're talking about, if we're talking about the drug culture, I mean, it's a horrible. I mean, people get psychotic, and then the dependency on it causes them to do horrendous, crazy things, and anywhere from stealing to killing people. They become very manipulative. It's just not a good thing. It's not a good thing, and anybody who has come off of drugs can tell you. I had a patient whose daughter had a drug struggle, and she cleaned out her mother's account. She lied, she stole. There's nothing. I mean, even giving her body when you don't have any more money, then your body then becomes currency, which is horrible. And a lot of young ladies have contracted, incurable diseases to death and all sorts of things. Talking about, drugs. Um, my brother works as a correctional officer in the prison, and the kind of stories that he has told me, I mean, prison is supposed to be to reform you, to correct you, and to reform you, and try to rehabilitate you so that you can get back into society. But it doesn't always pan out that way. It doesn't always. You either come out a better criminal because you meet other criminals in there. We're talking about hardened criminals. They if you're a guy, they sodomize you in there, break you in. um, they beat you up. Like you were saying how the minister was saying that they're gangs. Yes, they're terrible, horrible gangs. They even know how to manipulate the correctional officers that are in there. Some of the correctional officers, depending on how high in the gang and drug business that you're in, get on their payroll as well, and they get to use the phone. Uh, and they're so powerful that they're able to control these. We're not even talking about regular people on the inside. We're talking about the correctional officers on the inside because they are also on their payroll. You understand? So whatever they want on the outside in terms of privileges that they shouldn't have, they're able to they're able to use these officers to get those privileges. They're able to have their drug rings in the system as well. So it doesn't always rehabilitate you the way that it's meant to. You can come out worse. So I mean, I would encourage any
Then
young person that I come across, and we're having regular conversation. It would, especially, both guys and girls, because you have prison systems for women as well, where even they've gotten pregnant in jail from officers as well, where they do use their bodies as favors to be able to get privileges that they should not have. A lot of crazy things happen. So my conversation is always geared to encouraging them to, get an education, or get some type of trade, stay on the right side of the law, try. And then when you come out of prison, you're the last person that any establishment will want to hire. Even though you've paid your dues to society and stuff like that, you're supposed to be, quote unquote, rehabilitated. You're the last person that they would want to employ, because you have to disclose that as well, that you were in jail. And even if you don't, and they do a background check, background screening, they will see that you've done time. And you will, as I said, you will be the last person that you would have problems getting a job, and then assimilating back into society. Like you had said, you're used to a certain lifestyle in jail. Um, you second guess everybody. You feel like somebody's going to jump you. You're suspicious. Even there's a guy that came out and was talking about adjusting his eyes to natural sunlight was something that he struggled with. Noise, like the noise of the car, the noise of a horn, car horn, anything. His ears were extremely sensitive to it. He even had all these problems. He had. So being locked up and being in quiet, depending on what jail that you're in, if you're in the levels that you're in,
okay,
as
so
well. So
I wanted to add in what you're saying. Uh, Before you're here, Mr. H also said something that was very, very deep. He says, and he's talking about the way you discipline your children now that they are with you is very important in keeping them away from prison. And
yes.
I can liken it to this. If at the time your children are under your supervision, you
Mhm.
don't fail to understand what consequences of their bad deeds, or you reward every bad deed they do. If
Yes,
you don't do it, the police and the prison system will do it for them later on. If you don't do it now, you don't, because there's something you need to understand. If a child does not have fear for authority, for you are the first authority the child knows.
exactly.
Does not understand how to fear and respect you. You're not, see, parents, your children are not your friends. We need to stop this nonsense we keep doing. They are not your friends. They can only become your friends when you've properly trained them and executed proper discipline in their upbringing, and they turn 18 and they leave your house. Then you can become friends. But they are not your friends under your supervision. We need to stop this nonsense we keep doing, because at the end of the day, you now find that in prison, you now find that they will be forced to submit to authority in prison, because you see that children who don't have this kind of training, they don't have respect for they don't have general respect for adults. They don't have respect for any constituted authority, be it police or any government function. They see everybody as people they can step over and get away with it. This is not what we want for our children.
Well, a lot
At-
of people are scared of correcting, especially when the children are very young. You have to start instilling, you know, um, boundaries and disciplines. And you know, some people are scared to correct their kids because they feel the kid is young. They don't want, I'm not talking about brutalizing the child or beating the life out of the child, but you know, you affirm to the child, you are, you know, you cannot have this. And no matter how they throw their tantrums and cry, you see some parents, sorry, no, 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 here, don't cry. You don't do that. That means the kid has already learned how to manipulate you. You know, I'm very big. You know, I love kids. I play with them and whatnot. But I'm very big on discipline. When I say no, I mean no. You cannot have it, and you will not have it. And if you're going to cry, I will put you to sit down and you cry. You get over it, and then you realize, you know what? This one I can't manipulate. This one I'll have my way with this one. I have a friend who is having that same problem. She has an issue disciplining her kid. Single mothers have that issue. Oh, because I don't want to, you know, the father
It's
is
not
not
just
around.
women.
Oh,
It,
overcompensation.
it, it's not just women. We also have men who are lousy parents too. It's just, in fact, it's a modern thing. It's okay. You know what? Because we are rushing with time, let's quickly allow Sister Buki speak.
Oh, okay.
Okay, she's
Sorry.
been waiting. Okay,
Hi.
okay, okay. Finally, we see you.
Hi. Um, it's a very sad reality of our generation, and as we speak, more and more prisons are being erected all over the world, and that is because there is an agenda to use the prison system to break the psyche of men, most especially men. I concur with everything that has been said about discipline in the home. But discipline can't be properly enforced in a home without fathers present. Fatherless, majority of people in prison have come from fatherless homes, and mothers, to the best of their ability, they can only do what they can. But there is a reason why the the godly structure requires the presence of the man in the home as the head, you know, and especially with young men, they need the presence of their fathers. So there's a greater agenda, you know, through the destruction of the family unit, to incarcerate people, most especially, you know, the black man. Now, discipline is one thing, but discipline without the fear of God is the correct prescription. You could this ordinary discipline can only go so far, but the fear of God, the fear of the Creator, is the beginning of wisdom. We are told that. And so, because of the time that we live in a lawless time, in a time where morals have been eroded. Why? Because there's been a great shift away from God, away from the ways and the things of God. And, you know, a lot of people nowadays don't even want to entertain the idea of God, because the Bible, what the Bible does is gives a set of instructions that guides, you know, our morality. And sin really is the absence of morality. That's what sin is. Yeah, when we go astray, when we do things wrong, is because our moral code is not adequately in place. So this is not a problem that is going to get any better. In fact, it's only going to get worse, because the world is moving away from God at an alarming pace, and it's only going to be a handful of people that will be standing and championing, you know, the right way to do things. It's hugely important. I'm a mother to 5 kids, so without discipline, it's difficult to do that job. But without a man in the home to help, because for a lot of the time I was a single parent, and I found that as a mother, I might have to repeat things 2, 3, 4 times, you know, before the children hear what is being said. But when the father spoke once, the authority and the heavy vibration of the voice commands authority immediately, and they tend to listen. So for everything that I've said, it's just to point out that the genesis of the journey to prison begins in the home, and in a larger way due to the absence of fathers in the home. This is why a lot of our young people, both men and women, end up in prison. Girls that grow up without their fathers develop daddy issues and end up, you know, following the wrong kinds of men and getting into trouble. The same way, you know, the young men without a father in the home, they don't have any compass of what masculinity is and the value and the worth of being a man, and all of that. So yeah, that's just my contribution.
Oh, thanks a lot. In fact, you touched on something that I don't know how that escaped my mind, but thanks for bringing it up. Please, it's important. In fact, part of the reason why I'm always on this stream and I'm always talking is we need to have more fathers. We need to bring our men back home at any cost. It's so important that you just cannot imagine. A lot of these gangsters in prison, drug addicts, and general criminals, majority of them didn't have male figures. They didn't even have fathers at home. It's true. I can even leave Pastor Finch and Mr. H to explain it to you. It's not rocket science. If I don't care what happens between you and the mother of your child, I don't care this connection or the acrimony that took place after your separation. It's okay. Always fight using the court to be in the life of your children as a man. It's very, very important. The society is disintegrating because they are no longer male figures and role models in society. And you hear a lady saying it, a woman cannot raise a man. It, she can only do her best. And she can only pour out all she can do. But in reality, this is more of a spiritual thing. Okay, I don't want to say it, but it is what it is. It's more of do you know, a father might be quiet and calm in the house. He doesn't even need to bark. But just for the fact that his presence is in that household, it commands some level of authority whereby the children still understand that there's a father. Granted, there are fathers that are not responsible. They are fathers. They are not. They are in the homes, but they are not responsible. We are talking about drunkards. That's fathers who drink carelessly in the presence of their children. We're talking about fathers who abuse drugs in the presence of their children. We are talking about fathers who gamble, fathers who disgracingly womanize to the point whereby he's bringing shame to the family, not just the wife or the mother, but to the family. You are bringing shame because everybody now sees it that you are chasing everything after skirts. We can do better as men. It's not late. I don't know why people keep feeling that we can't do anything about the state of we can, we should. Okay, fine. Little drops of water, but we all should make efforts. If I am making the effort, I'm dealing with my family, and I come here every Saturday to speak to all of you. It shows that I'm training my own contribution. If you are listening to me, I expect you as a man to do the same thing. We only us can fix the mess in the society. And I'm very serious. It's getting what? And you know what? We might even have okay, Mr. Consequence is back.
It
So
sounds like you're coming over to my side of the fence, brother Ron.
no. I
Right,
was never
Lisa?
no.
Right? I like
I
how
was
he's sliding in a slick way, right?
wait. I was never no, but when I started the show, I told you people that I was targeting young men who don't have strong male figures in their lives. That was my intention. I didn't come here to come and bash women. My intention was to target young men who are, and by the grace of the creator, I get DMs every time. People are really lost. Men are really lost. You'll be
Yeah.
surprised, 25-year-old men, 30-year-old men. They are at the point of their lives where they have to make very strong decisions that will help or mar their destiny, and they don't know who to talk to. So a lot of us who have been privileged need to step up, not just within. If you are in a community and you know that there are single mothers everywhere there, take up the challenge. Why can't you be a father to those children? Why can't you be the one to show them the right way? Why are you scared?
Or
Anyway,
a role model.
yeah, role model. Yeah, okay, let me, Mr. Kelly, consequences here. So, incidentally, the topic is consequence.
Consequence.
Consequence. You're muted.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. I will have to listen a little. You know, I'm just joining. I'm not quite.
Okay,
I just
so
woke up.
let me bring it to speed. So earlier on, we had Pastor Noel Finch, who is a prison minister. He ministers all over Cape Town. He goes to all prison to rescue people who are lost in prison. That when we have prisoners who have stayed for so long, they become so comfortable. Then he also told the story of how he was into drugs. He abused drugs as a young man, and it influenced his suicidal ideation to the point whereby he had to go lay down on a live track, a train track, and the train was coming to crush him, but uh, just by the miraculous timing of the creator, the driver of the train, the pilot of the train was able to apply the brakes before he got to him, and he was able to roll out. So it's a testimony. So he talked about gangs in prison, how people join gangs in prison, and the gangs have influence outside the prison. They can take a decision in prison that can affect somebody outside prison. It could be fellow prisoners, family members. It could be the prison guards or they have foot soldiers that can carry out all sorts of egregious activities. Then Mr. H also talked about the life in prison, how frustrating it is, how people are even contemplating to end it all in prison because life is no longer normal for them. Then he also brought to the fore the issue of child discipline, raising the children the proper way. Because if your children don't fear authority under you as a parent, the likelihood is that since you don't want to exercise the authority over them, the prison system and the police, law enforcement and prison system will exercise the authority for them in the prison system. So if you want your children to be set free, you have to, as a matter of urgency, discipline them when needed and appropriately discipline. Not, I'm not talking of abuse, discipline, and I'll let them understand the consequence of making bad choices. If your children make bad choices, they need to allow them to face the consequence now, so that in future we don't have problems. You can't bail your kids out every time they are doing bad, terrible stuff, and expect that they are not going to carry on that way in future, right? So, Sister Buki has also spoken about the lack of presence of male figures in the homes. That's fathers who are supposed to be there to ensure that discipline is actually enforced appropriately. So, this is what we've done so far. So, you can now hop it.
Greetings, everyone. Good evening. I think it is just common sense that we parents should, especially in times like this where cultures and tradition is being undermined or put in the back burner. All right. I figure out something, right? Recently, I figured that I was having a discussion and the thing just struck my mind that whenever we refer to God as Elohim, right? Elohim is plural, all right? Elohim is plural. El is the singular, right? So, and it is called honorific. What we are trying to do is to honor God. So we are using plural terms to refer to a singular entity, okay, in form of honor. It now strikes me that we have the same thing even in say for instance, Yoruba culture, where we use plural terms to honor those who are older than us, which is the difference between O and E. O is should normally be singular. E, in the other hand, is plural, and we use it in form of honorific terms when we're referring to those who are, older than us. It's just a form of endearment and respect. So why am I bringing this up? It is culture, all right? It is culture that is very valuable, that helps in shaping how we relate with each other and help us informing how we view life in itself. Earlier on, not quite long, I woke up to a video that was sent to me on Instagram where a school student is actually fighting, and a girl for that matter, fighting her teacher. Okay, fighting her teacher. And they are like, first she started with calling her name, cussing out, and then it, proceeded into proper fight. This thing is something that is unheard of once upon a time, is unthinkable once upon a time anyways. So why did I bring this up? I'm saying that to say that yes, it is a common sense thing that in a time like this where we are dragging with the society on how to raise our children, this is even when we need to spend much more time in raising our children. And I'm seeing something too that is in form of a trend that is more common with white people right now. I'm seeing more and more white people signing up for being, okay, let me leave that part first. I'll come back to that. Okay. So with that being said, and our children, in most cases, at least in most cases, we turn out as much effort. We turn out to become the effort we put into them. In most cases, I know some will say, oh, but some children will end up, turning out differently. It is rare. Okay, turning out differently could just be because of something. Say, for instance, you tell your child, don't fight, but she always see you fight. So chances are they may not, internalize the thing that you're saying to them. They will pick on the thing that they are saying over the things that they are hearing you say. But what I know for certain is the more effort that we put into our children, the more they turn out better, especially in society like this. And every society that we have today is a consequence of the parents. Okay, the society that we have today, in most cases, are just consequence of the parents. Okay, if something is wrong from the smallest unit of the family, being the nuclear family, if something is wrong, okay, from the smallest units of the family, then chances are the offspring of such family will carry on and then become the society that we call society today. So that is just that, and I think this is common knowledge, something that has been known for long. If there's anything that we can say today, is just to let everyone know that there is a war out there that is designed to battle with parents against their children. That is just the only new thing that we can, which means that that's old school term that we used to use when we say the community it takes a village to raise a child, right? Which means we can no longer use it takes a village to raise a child today, because we are not having village today. And what we used to call village is not you living in village, simply means take the society to raise the child, okay? So that is just the only new thing I think we can add to what is already known throughout history of human beings. Now, about the prison system. It is common knowledge that you would join gangs when you're in prison, because that is how you survive. Okay? It is common knowledge that you would join gang when you're in prison, because that is how you survive. You don't survive as lone wolf in prisons. It doesn't work that way. You don't thrive or survive as lone wolf in prison. So you have to definitely join a gang. Now, what happened with joining a gang is you're going to have to join gangs with people that got into prison, very different forms of crimes. Say, for instance, what you did is you stole. When the person gets to prison, you join gang with those who you know, serial killers. You're more likely to join gang with those who commit even more dangerous crime than what you committed. And you're going to have to listen to them. You're going to have to communicate with them. These are the only people that you're going to wake up to and sleep on. Okay, so what then happens is you exchange ideas, you talk, and yes, in some cases, even yes, in many cases, not even some cases, connection is built from outside in and from inside out as well. Okay, when you're in prison, connections are built from inside in, inside out, and outside in as well. You have people running things for you from outside. They smuggle things in for you. All right, they tell you what is going on. You operate from within. You also, that is how it works. So what then happens is, for how long do you get together with a group of people, all right, that you spend so much time with before you start caving in and buying into their ideologies? How long? Secondly, if you eventually, depending on how long you're in there for, if you eventually make it to the outside world, chances are the world has moved on. Okay, chances are the world have moved on. And once you are in there as well, they will expose you to things that you call opportunities. Okay, I mean, something to prepare you in case when you step outside of prison, that, oh, this is something you can actually do. They give you different ideas, all right? Chances are very high that you buy into some of these ideas and want to at least first consider them, and secondly, try to utilize them. So that is that for prison system. This is why in some cases it is highly advisable that when people, those who are done doing time, should take out time to, see a therapist that help reshape their mind. Yes, there are cases where you come out and then you turn out fine. All right, there are cases like that where you, depending on who you are as a person to start with, and the people waiting for you outside prison. Okay, two things. If you are going to come outside of prison and then say fundamentally or foundationally you are a good one, because over time people go to prison for different, not only criminals that make it to prison. Sometimes, you can commit a crime and not be a criminal. All right, you can commit a crime and not be a criminal. All right, this is also a possibility. So not everyone that makes it into prison are necessarily criminals, right? One poor decision can land someone in prison. Okay, just that moment of anger, and then you slap them twice, in face, turn around, and hit her for ground, and die. One can end up in prison. That don't necessarily make you a criminal, although now you already committed the crime. So I'm just saying that. So someone like that, who knows? If the outside world, okay, your foundation is good, and then when you're leaving the prison, you're going to walk into an outside world that gives you good landing on how to, not corrupt your mind. Chances that you come out of prison and you turn out good. And then there are criminals too that turn out good when they come out. This is part of the reason why sometimes they have ministers visit these people. And one other thing that is very common in prison is people tend to, two things you can do when you're in prison. Two things happen to those who go to prison. One, the likelihood of you starting to read is very high. You start with Bible or Quran. You start with Bible or you start with Quran. All right. Second thing that usually happens is people pray. You just can't, no matter how your mind is. I was listening to David Wood the other day. David Wood is one of the finest Bible apologists that you have today. One of the finest philosophers as well that you have today. He was a former atheist that actually considered at the point bashing his father's head with sledgehammer. Okay, he went into prison, he was still an atheist in prison. But something struck his mind whilst he was in prison, and then that was it. The same thing with Malcolm S. Okay, Malcolm S was in prison when he starts self-teaching himself. Okay, he was in prison and then he starts self-teaching himself, and then he turned out to be who everyone knows. So two things usually happen to people in prison. You are going to likely encounter a change of mind. Okay. Secondly, you're going to likely start reading whilst you're in prison. These two things usually happen in prison, and this is why people can come out of prison and turn out good. In fact, the chances of you turning out good is high. It's pretty high too. Okay. So I think that is that. And I would leave it there.
Thank you very much. That was a nice one. Mr. H, would you like to also? You've heard everybody speak now, so uh, would you like? You are muted. You are muted.
What I wanted to say is that Mr. Consequence said something in his opening remarks to say about parents. Everybody, every parent wants to be a good parent. I don't know what he means by that. But in my own understanding and in my own experience is that we have bad parents. You need to know about. Everybody has to. We need to settle for that. We have bad parents. We have people that don't want to be parents at all. We have people that either the female or the male that don't want to be parents at all. You just can't. That is how the society is. And Mr. Consequence said that if you go to prison, you probably have to join a gang or something to survive. That is very, 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 very false. It's not true because the prison system, you can't force anybody to be in the gang. But if you are in the gang, you have privileges. So much more. The prison ministry that we do here, we have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, and we have E. And A is for people that are over 40. B is for normal people. Then C is for people that have bills, but they cannot pay their bill. Then D is for gangsters. And E is for France, as Mr. Finch said earlier on. France means somebody that doesn't want to be in the gang, want find themselves in prison, doesn't want to be in the gang, but just want to be there. That's how it is divided. So that is how it is divided. So if you are in E and you want to come to D, which is the gang building, you tell them, I want to come to D. Then they take you from E and they bring you to D. When they bring you to D, then they initiate you. D cannot be found in E. E cannot be found in D, except they ask for it. That is how it's differentiated. And again, when we go to prison and we speak to a lot of people, like Mr. Consequence said, you are correct. We meet people that these people are good people. I've spoken to one guy before. He's a good guy. The guy is a good guy. He has no business in prison. But again, what brought him to prison is bad associate, bad friends. And if you probably take your time after the show, you can Google what they call it. It's called the Gumtree murderer. There are three of them. It happened there in Cape Town, where somebody wanted to buy a car on Gumtree. Sorry, on Marketplace. It's Facebook murderer. Marketplace where and when he was not the one selling the car, it's another guy that is selling the car. So the guy said, "No, I want to sell my BMW." He said, "Okay, let us go and sell it for this buyer." Then there is one elderly guy in their community. Used to have this big uncle in your community that Babalaye, and this guy is known in the community as a bad guy. So they said, "Okay, let's take our uncle along." The owner of the car that want to sell the car, this guy and the person they wanted to take along, the uncle, like big shot, everybody know him, sells weed. It's like he's over 60. He's just somebody that people know, like no do well, but got everybody working with him in the community. And they went and they got to the place and they gave the guy the keys. And the guy was the white guy was test driving the car. He said, "Oh, I like this car. Okay, how much do you want for the car? I have the money here. We just go change ownership." And you know what happened? This their uncle that they took along, they didn't know that the uncle had a gun on him. The uncle now just was sitting on behind the car, took the gun out and shot the buyer on the head breast. And the buyer just died. They took they didn't plan it. And they took the money from the guy's wallet and pushed the guy away. But where they committed the crime in the area called Century City. If you know what Century City is a very big mall that people buy. It's a very big mall, very, very big mall. So when they began to trace, they saw the footage. Who goes to a market to commit a crime? That is how they were arrested, the three of them. Now, this guy is trying to tell the people that he was not involved in the murder. He just followed them there. It is this old papa that went and decided to shoot this guy. It was not their plan to even shoot the guy because they wanted to sell the car really to the, but the system was not buying it. That is how the guy ended up in prison. And the old guy is a gangster. He's in prison with them. He is just enjoying himself. He's just laughing and playing as if nothing happened. That is how. So sometimes when we get into prison and we talk to these guys, you see that most of them, they're good guys. It's just that they just follow the wrong friends. This one was drinking. They say, okay, let us go. We follow them. And they end up in this place. And this guy is facing life imprisonment because they were going to the high court. And the guy was explaining to me, he's telling me, hey, in fact, I don't know. And my baby is just 6 months old. It is my first female child. I am not a criminal. We didn't know that Papa has gone with him. And he explained and he explained and he explained and he explained. Nobody. At the end of the day, what happened? They sentenced him to life imprisonment. So sometimes for people to end up in prison, Mr. Consequence, I agree with you. Some people are good people. You hit your girlfriend, your girlfriend hit her head on the wall, she died. Not just like Mr. Musa that went to. Mr. Musa has never committed a crime before. He fixed phones. Even my iPhone 7 is still with him to help me to change the casing. It's still there in his shop. He took the girl to the pub. At the end of the day, he killed the girl in anger. When he drinks, it turns to another thing. So what we are saying is that there is some people that have kids, they don't want to be parents. Or maybe their mind is not in parenting. So to give birth to a child is another thing. To be a parent is another thing entirely. They're two different things. To build a home is two different. These are two different things. So that is my own take on the matter. We've gone to the prison with Mr. Fish and a lot of people, and we see different cases, not only as South Africans, because where we go, it's everybody mixed together, Nigerians, Congolese, Americans. So when they arrest you, they bring you here, and you hear a lot of stories. Sometimes when you go to prison and minister to them, we pray to them, we encourage them, even our Nigerian brothers, when you come back home, to eat is a problem. Because when people tell you how they got there, you will know that this thing is just a manipulation of the devil. It's just the manipulation. They have no business whatsoever in prison. We don't go there to judge them, or we don't go there to ask them what brought them there. We go there to give them support, to pray for them, and to tell them that there is still hope, that God gives a second chance. And we see this thing work for them. See all this encouragement work for them, because we've seen a lot of them outside. They said, yeah, I went to the mall and I was buying something, and I finished buying, and one guy just walked up to me and he said, I'm going to pay for everything. And I was like, do you know me? He just said, I'm going to pay for everything. And he paid for everything. And he said, wait for me. And he said, thank you so much for coming to prison and speaking to me. I was in the room you came in and you inspired me. And I'm out now. I have stopped doing what I used to do. A lot of them I meet on the street say, oh, Mr. H, how are you? Oh, this is the work I'm doing now. I have stopped doing what I used to do. So prison is not a very good place to be. But in prison, you have a choice, either to be in the gang, not to be in the gang. They don't force you. It is written that they don't force you. But because the motto, their prison here, it's when you come inside, they say it's a place of new beginning. It's to correct you and not to break you down. Because at the end of the day, you're still coming back to the society. And if you're coming back to the society and you are not being changed, you are not being reformed, then what they want to, like, the objective is not met. So, Mr. Consequence, I'm just trying to disagree to agree with you there. To say sometimes some parents don't want to be parents at all. They don't know how to take care of kids. And sometimes if you're in the prison, it's a choice. either to be in the gang or not to be in the gang. But you know, if you are in the gang, you'll be able to survive things. But it's not compulsory that you need to be to.
Let me speak to what you've just said real quick. I think I'm not sure if you're citing me correctly about the parenting. So I'm not sure I said every parent wants to be a parent or something. I'm not sure what you're citing. Because what I actually said is I started by saying that it is common sense that we should try and raise our children. And I think it is something that has been long known. Then I went on to say that there's a difference between what you say to a kid or to your child versus what you do before them. Children are, at the earliest stage, more likely to learn from what they see than from what they hear. Okay, that was what I said. Then I went on to say that telling parents to raise their child good and that the effort you put into them contribute to how they turn out is something that has been long known. However, the only thing that I think we can add in modern day today is that it is more difficult to raise kids today than it was in the past. Why? Once upon a time, I do not have to know who your parent is. If I see you doing something wrong, I can speak to you about it. That is not something that happens today anymore. And I said that it seems today that it takes a whole village to raise a child don't no longer apply. Because if you go speak to someone's child, that in itself might be a problem for you. All right, it's a problem for you. You go talk to somebody's child or correct somebody's child. You might get into trouble from doing that. That is why I feel like it takes a village no longer work. Once upon a time, it works. I don't have to know you from A. Okay, if you do something that merits slight spanking, I may have to do that. So that's what I say about the prison. I think perhaps we can. I get you. I think you have more experience around there. Perhaps you're right. I've never been to prison myself, but here is what I feel when I listen to what you're saying, and then from what, because I'm reading something here now from what is this site? It says prisoninsights.com, right? Now, when I'm listening to you speak, you gave. It seems that I've been to police cell before, by the way. I've been locked up in police cell before. And I understand that before you enter last one, some people there will won't slap you. Okay? Some people there will won't slap you. Once you don't escape that first stage, that is your welcome distance. Once you don't escape that first stage, by the time we enter the cell, the police cell, right? By the time we enter the police cell, the next thing that happens is you are panicking. You need to find, okay, how do I get in and not get in trouble? Okay, how do I settle in as the stranger? How do I settle in here? In that settling in, you're going to look around and look for who is going to wrap their arms around you and embrace you because you met them there and they have an understanding in there prior to your arrival. So they know how things work, even if they are a day old there. Okay, there was when I was in police station, some new guys came in. All right, the moment they came in, they looked around and they saw me. They could tell that, okay, I look slightly different from people in here. They came to me, but I was totally new there. But because I was at least a day old, I knew who to point them to and be like, okay, come we'll speak to this cell president. I know, I will know how to speak to him, and then you settle in. It is almost the same. I don't think, okay, the cases like that can be, but I'm saying I do not think that you just go into a prison, loan shark, you don't have a gang in there, you don't have member. Maybe gang is what we have to redefine then, but I don't think you walk into a depending to, which when I'm listening to what you're saying, you're given categories, right, of prisons, homes or something. It has, I think, if I try to look into what you're saying, you are describing different category, and this different category seems like hierarchy in crime. What brings you here will determine what boss they are going to put you. That is what I think I'm making out from what I said, depending on the crime that brings you there, which is also a thing with jail and prisons too, where there are some cases where they tell you, okay, this one is going to solitary confinement. Depending on the crime, this one is going to harden this thing, blah, blah, blah. So I think that is what you're defining. Yes, but I think, maybe I used a general term here, but I think that from the little time, okay, that I went to police station, all right, what I noticed is you don't walk in. I didn't see one single person walking as a lone person and then sit down, and everybody left him. You think he can, do you understand? you usually look for someone to wrap their arms around you. Can be 2 or 3 persons that wrap their arms around you, and then that is how you find your footing once you join. What I haven't seen is you just walking as low shoulder and sit down and be like nothing. You can just try like that. So what I mean by gang is not like gang, like group, perhaps. Okay, what I mean by gang is group, meaning when you go in there, you're going to at least speak to someone that affiliates with you and wrap their arms around you to first settle in before any other thing. This is what I think I was referring to.
Okay, so that's a nice one, Mr. Consequence. So I think with all that's been said, oh, okay, Sister Buki, do you want to say one more thing before we round up?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the future prison is not going to be as far away from people as we think. We're moving into a time where the powers that be are trying to regulate and absolutely control society down to what we think. So, and as I said earlier on, a lot of people are not aware of it, but there are large numbers of detention camps and even more prisons being built. And, there's a reason for that, because we're going to get to the stage where if you say what you're not supposed to say, you can find yourself detained, and so this lack of freedom thing is not necessarily going to be restricted to just those that have committed crimes. You know, saying what you're not supposed to say will be constituted as a crime, and you can find yourself in prison. You can find your whole life turned upside down. A taste of that right now is a cancel culture situation in our society. And as things progress, we're going to find that a lot more people are going to be losing their freedom. So I was just bringing that up as another angle to this whole prison and consequence thing, because it's going to be one of the consequences applied to you not conforming to societal standards and you not thinking and acting in the way that they want you to.
Thank you very much. So, Sister Binta, do you have anything short to say?
Um, just to piggyback a little bit on what Buki has said, sometimes honestly I feel like, we're already in prison, you know, in different ways where they take the freedom of speech away. You don't have you have to be, because of the social norms, you have to be careful, like Buki said, what you say. And it's, the cancel, as she said, the cancel culture shows that, it's either, something as simple as taking Aretha Franklin's song, or trying to take it off of the listening charts or whatever it is. It's like what was normal is no longer normal, to the point where marriages are going to be the closeted relationships, the way things are going. And if you speak up on it, you may end up detained for it. You're going to have where, and some of this is also prophecy, where you even have family members not wanting to lose their privileges and will turn you in because you're saying and doing things. Uh,
Right.
you know what I mean? That
Mm.
you should not be doing, because they are so frightened that they don't want anything to happen. They don't want their little privileges taken away from them. They still want some sort of, they want to function within the society at the time. So they will turn you in. So we're fast approaching that one world order, and everything is just, these special camps being built all over the place is for that. I mean, they're going to monitor they're going to monitor communities where we live in, where they're going to set up some type of device where if everybody is doing what they don't want them to do, they can turn on some type of frequency that can wipe out that whole damn community. You know, it's we're living in such evil times.
It has happened before.
We're living in such, and a lot of us don't even know the level of technology that is out there. It's so sophisticated that, um, they have a nuclear. It's not even nuclear. They don't even. They way past nuclear now. They have the what do they call it?
Frequency machines.
Something of
Frequency.
God, where they can they just pulverize a whole with no trace. It's just evaporated. The hammer of God, or it's not the hand of God. It's something along that lines.
I saw it. I think it's, yeah, frequency based machine anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You
but
know.
okay, um, I'm I'm glad we've even made it to this time. We are now hitting the 2 hours mark, and
Mhm.
we have to shut it down now so that
Mm.
we will decide amongst ourselves whether to continue the discussion next week, because Pastor Finch just said that he's getting in touch with people who have actually lived the gang lives in and out of prison. Like generation of family members that belongs to serious. They'll be willing to come and talk, and talk to young men and advise them. Anybody planning or thinking of joining any sort of this drug or violent gangs will have a second thought after listening to them. So next week might be loaded. Next week might just be loaded. So until we see again, and once again, thank you everybody for showing up within a short notice. It took me so long to set it up because I needed to be sure that Pastor Finch and Mr. H will be available for the show today, and they did show up. So I really helped me thank them after the show and all that. So until we see you again next week, remain blessed, all of you. Try and stay away from trouble. Don't do anything else. The correctional system. And until then,